This is the final boarding call for all remaining passengers. Please now make your way to the gate. The podcast is about to begin.
Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About Travel. My name's Linda Hill and I am the host of the podcast, and I'm absolutely loving doing these podcasts because I am getting to know my reps so well. Lots of things I didn't know about them that are coming out in the podcast, and today delighted to be joined with Jen Watson from G Adventures. So welcome to the show.
Thanks very much for having me.
Now, I'm going to try and get your title right. You are what is known as a GPS, Global Purpose Specialist. Yes. There we go. I've not had a GPS one before, so you're my first GPS. But at LH Travel, we work very closely with G Adventures and have done over the years. Heather, our manager, is an adventure specialist, so she is all things adventure. And G's a lovely company to work with, G Adventures. So before we get into what G Adventures is, let's just talk a little bit about Jen and tell us how you got involved in travel, first of all.
Yeah, it's actually quite scary to think this will be my 21st year in travel.
Obviously, we're 5 when you started.
Yes. So I actually started as an apprentice in Thomas Cook in Ayr, just down the road. And I worked there for a couple of years. We could be here a while, to be fair, if I run through absolutely everything, but I'll try and make
just
it
a few highlights
as quick as possible. But I did then go off to do some repping, which I think a lot of the reps in the industry have done as well. So Thomas Cook repping for a couple of years, come back to the travel industry in the UK, and again went back to Thomas Cook in the shops. And then I took a little bit of a fancy to go off to America, and I worked for Disney. I worked out in Epcot for a year.
Oh, how fantastic.
Yeah. Everyone says, it must have been amazing, but it was an experience and a half. Like, it was an amazing place to work and live for a year with all the different nationalities that live in Epcot. So then when I came back, I actually went from more of your travel industry side, travel agent side, to your tour operating side. So I worked over Glasgow at Travel 2, where I did sales, and then I moved on to sort of more sort of pricing commercial product.
But so you've really done a wee bit of everything then?
Everything, yeah. Because I was going to say, I then sort of got itchy feet again, and I went off backpacking to Australia. I went back out to America to work in between that, went back to Travel 2 again, and then I was there up until the C word happened in 2020. So unfortunately I got made redundant there, and it was at that point I kind of thought, is this a sign of maybe I should go and try something else? But the travel industry, as you know, has some way of like clawing you back in.
It's in your blood, isn't it?
Absolutely is. It's just one of those sort of magical like industries that's just, I say, it's never boring. There's always something going on, and it's just such a nice industry to work in. So it was just after COVID actually that the opportunity came up to work for G Adventures. I had actually been on a couple of the trips before. One of my old colleagues had actually been the rep as well, which I used to joke with her and say, is it not about time you moved on and let someone else have a little try of that job?
Be careful for what you wish for.
I know, basically, yeah. So she had a couple of young children, and she's like, yeah, I'm ready to hang up my on-the-road boots sort of thing. So that was how I ended up where I am today. I never actually thought that this was the type of job that I would have enjoyed as much, but now I think what else would I do? I absolutely love it, but it just makes it so much easier when you absolutely love and enjoy the product.
And you've done the full, you've done right from being an apprentice, travel agent, repping, the full lot. Yeah. So yeah, great. And G Adventures, what a great company. We have found in the last probably 10 years, I would say, the increase in people wanting to do not just soft adventure, like crazy adventure as well. It's not just now about going and lying on a beach for 2 weeks. That's not in the top of people's bucket list anymore.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And I think since COVID, people are definitely wanting to do tick boxes.
More. Yeah, no, I feel as if in COVID people were more into watching the documentaries, and they kind of came from that side of, I don't want to just go and lie on a beach or going out to a hotel where I could be anywhere in the world. I really want to go and experience this. And for years, actually, when I first went on trips by myself, because I've been travelling with you since 2018, and I do think that the actual mindset has sort of changed around people going and doing this kind of stuff, and even just going on their own, because it's one thing I would always say is, don't wait for people. If you want to go, just absolutely go, because I would have been nowhere if I would have waited for somebody. But I think years ago when I said I'm going on holiday by myself sort of thing, you'd get the kind of head tilt of, oh, that's nice, that's a wee bit of sympathy sort of thing. But now people are much more like, oh my God, good on you, yeah, go.
I think people are now just more independent and more in control of their destiny. Like, as you say, why wait? Just do it.
Exactly.
And a lot of people going solo holidays aren't actually single.
Yep.
They just choose, their partners maybe get different interests.
Yep.
So why would they not go and do... So solo's a big part of G Adventures then?
Yes, so we are probably, our biggest demographic is female solo travellers, which I've travelled on 17 tours with G Adventures, and I think I've had a partner for the last, what are we on now, I'm going to be tested here, 7 years, and I think he's came on 4 of them, but again, it's really just, sometimes it's down to like just different interests, etc. So to give you an example, I went in the summer there and walked the Camino de Santiago by myself in a group with G Adventures. My partner had
Did you love it?
Absolutely loved it, honestly. And my partner had no interest in doing that, and I'm like, why would I make you do that and be miserable for a week walking? So he'll go off and do football trips, etc., and then we'll sometimes come off and do stuff together. Like, we're just recently back from Nepal, which was fantastic, but he absolutely loved it. There was no hiking involved. I made sure of that. I'll go back and do some hiking in Nepal, but as it's sometimes just down to different interests, even different sort of holiday allowances, etc. We have probably quite a high percentage of sort of teachers, NHS workers, etc., that maybe get a bit more of a sort of more generous holiday allowance than their partners maybe do as well.
And people just don't want to just go and lie on a beach. Not saying people never do that, but it's not top of people's priority list anymore. And the nice thing about G Adventures is there's something in the programme for everybody. So right from literally your kind of lead-in, well, I take it you were doing hostels and things when you did the Camino?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was actually hotels we did in the Camino,
okay.
So it was about hostel, but we do go, like, as you say, we've got something for absolutely everybody. We've got a collaboration with Hostel World, which is, I say, staying in hostels. We'll then go up to 18 to 30 somethings. We've got classic product. We've got a collaboration with National Geographic.
And that's massive, isn't it?
Yeah, so we've been running those trips for the last 10 years. We've just renewed another contract with them. And it's the trust and the brand awareness with National Geographic is massive. They've got 135 years of experience, and I say they partner with us more to do with similar values when it comes to sort of travel in the world. And we're actually got a brand new product coming out this week, which is National Geographic Signature, which is going to be so excited. Yeah. This is going to be the sort of jewel in the crown. So this is going to be 5-star. So I can now offer everything from a hostel up until a 5-star hotel. So yes.
And that's one of the things that for our demographic and our business is people want the adventure, but they want a bit of luxury as well. Yeah. And for many years you couldn't combine both. So that's great. That is really good news. Maybe get me in a G Adventures. You never know.
Honestly, the product for National Geographic Signature looks fantastic. One of the big differences that we have, so every one of our trips has, we call them a CEO, which is, you'll learn at G, we've got names for everything, but they are called our Chief Experience Officers, which are on our G Adventures trips. And then on National Geographic, we've got our expedition leaders, and then we've also got we've got National Geographic experts as well. Now, the leaders will be there from start to finish with you. They'll be all local to that destination. And with the signature product, you'll have an expert in their field coming along with you for the full journey as well. So that could be like a filmmaker, a historian, sort of a archaeologists, anything like along those lines, just something who is an absolute expert in their field, and they just add this extra element to it that's going to be really exciting. And there's a lot of exclusives that you're not going to get to experience unless you're on that National Geographic signature trip as well. So it's going to be really interesting.
And I think just for travel agents as well to remember to offer something like a G Adventures, because a lot of the times when we're pulling together people's holidays, they've maybe got, they're doing a bit of a tailor-made trip and they're wanting to do Thailand just take as an example. But G does a great, essential Thailand tour where you can add that into, we do the flights before, a couple of hotels either end, and then just slot a G Adventures tour into the middle of it. And it's great. Because
it gives you a little bit of structure in the trip as well. We actually did at the beginning of last year on getting more personal holiday. We're just sort of dropping them in here. We did a couple of nights in Dubai, then went to Bangkok for a few nights, and then went down to Phuket, and we've actually got a sailing trip, and we sailed round some of the islands down there.
Lovely.
So again, just something totally different that you maybe wouldn't think of doing, and like most people would maybe just go to Phuket and stay in another hotel, but it was just a fantastic experience. Again, you've got those, it's a small group as well, so our average are 12 people within the group, and within that group that you have mixed nationalities, so usually you'll find some North Americans, usually always Canadians, that is, we're Canadian born. And then you've got Australian, New Zealand, European, British, Irish,
so it's a nice mix
as well.
And you're going to meet people on these tours who are like-minded and be friends for life, because it is a small enough group that you're going to get to know the people that you're travelling with.
No, 100%. I've had some really interesting people I've met over the years, and I was just saying before we came on there that we had a little bit of a diary clash, myself and my partner, for my next trip, which is Antarctica, and actually the person who I'm taking with me instead is one of my first roommates from my very first G Adventures trip in 2018. So
you're still friends all these years.
She's coming along with me to
Brilliant.
Antarctica instead.
We're definitely going to get you back on to talk about Antarctica, because that is on my bucket list, and I'm hoping 2026 that I need to stop talking about it and just do it, but fingers crossed it'll come. Well, it's nearly booked. So yeah, working on it for sure. It's you can't die wondering, can you? You've got to. I've always wanted to go, so it's definitely going to happen. And I think the nice thing about G Adventures is as well, and again, it's something that people are a lot more aware of now, is about responsible tourism.
Yeah. So one of our major pillars of G Adventures is community tourism. So to give you a little bit of a background of how even G Adventures started, we are entrepreneur owned. Bruce Poontip still owns us today, very much still part of the business. 35 years ago, we just had our 35th anniversary just last year. He went off sort of backpacking in Asia and seen a bit of a gap in the market between your traditional backpacking and your big sort of bus tours. I mean, you can kind of flagged around where you're not really getting a true authentic experience, and also a lot of those communities are not actually seeing the benefit of those customers coming into that community. So what he wanted to do was create these small group experiences that really give you an authentic sort of flavour for the country that you're visiting, but also that benefits those local communities. So as much as the money that we can keep in that local community, we do. So things like staying in locally owned accommodations, eating in locally owned restaurants.
So rather than big hotel chains.
Yeah, so that's one thing you'll find about G Adventures. It's kind of similar to if you went to the Lake District, you would stay in a nice little bed and breakfast that was quite sort of local to the area. It felt as if you were in the Lake District. You wouldn't tend to go in a big mass sort of chain hotel that you could be anywhere in the world. So that's sort of one thing that we do focus on. You will find with our product, every single trip has something called a ripple score, and this is something we created a while back just to sort of back up the information that we were saying, because we could say, oh, we're the best at keeping the money in the local community, but we needed like actual facts and figures to show it. So the ripple score is a number that is out of 100, and it basically shows of the money that could stay in the local community, how much of it actually does. So across all the product that we currently have, our average is 90 93%.
Wow, that's high, isn't it?
So yes, other types of travel can be as low as 5-10%. It's, to be honest, it's not something I overly thought about before I worked for G Adventures, but now when it's like in plain sight, you think, God, that's such a good way of doing it as well.
Feel as if you're giving back as well.
100%.
So tell us, what are some of the top selling tours?
So for G, biggest destination we have, especially at the minute, is our essential Vietnam and Thailand.
Vietnam and Cambodia.
Yes, I don't know why I could not get that out there. It's because we were talking about Thailand. So that's a 17-day tour. The good thing about that one is if you've not got that amount of time, it can actually be broken up into different sort of combos there. So one thing we do really well at G is having sort of combinations. So if you want to do the shorter trip, you can do, but if you've got a bit more time, you can add those on and make it longer. Costa Rica is also a big sort of destination for us. We've actually got a trip going out there in September with some agents, so that'll be my first time going, which will be really interesting.
Something different.
I've never been there before. I've only done a few sort of countries in South America. You always think you'll go back at one point and sort of do a few months, but then you go into full-time employment and then the time goes. Yeah.
Is Costa Rica not supposed to be really good for like bird watching and things like that? There's some amazing bird life.
It's a beautiful country for your outdoor activities, so it's one of those ones that does sort of fit into like a lot of the typical G Adventures. Sort of what people think we are is probably ziplining through the rainforest, etc., which we do absolutely have that type of product, but majority of what we actually sell is our classic product, which is around about a 3-star. It's quite minimum sort of activities. It's usually sort of light, which is like maybe like an orientation walk through like a town or a city, etc. But we absolutely do have your climbing Kilimanjaro, etc. So again, going back to the product breadth is wild. We've got over 1,000 trips, and we do cover all 7 continents as well.
That's what I was going to just ask. Is there stuff in Europe and things as well?
Yep. I say what you'll find is the European trips became more popular just after COVID, because obviously people were sort of more testing the water. Previous to that, Europe tended to be more popular in the North America market for us, and we were probably more popular in like Asia. But now you'll find it is quite, if people go everywhere, and I think you'll be very hard pushed to find, if you ever go on a G Adventures trip, someone who's not also already been in a G Adventures trip. We've got a very high repeat customer base.
Well, that's exactly what we found in our office. You know, once people do one adventure trip, they get that hunger to go and do it again, because they realise that travel is so fulfilling. There's so many things you can do that doesn't involve just lying by a pool drinking cocktails. And they just want more. And it's interesting to watch how clients, migrated over the last 10 years, because, like walking the Camino de Santiago, like, I didn't even know that was a thing, and it's so popular.
Okay, I think it's...
how long did it take you?
It was 6 days walking.
So that was just part of it then?
Yes, so when I say I walked the Camino de Santiago, the actual one is 40 days, 35 to 40 days.
Yeah, my family's done it.
From France. But we do, we do 2 versions, so you can start in Madrid and then get the train up, or you can start in Sarria and go to the Camino de Santiago. Santiago basically. But it's 115 kilometres, which is the shortest distance you can do to get a certificate.
So what are you doing, about 25 kilometres a day, something like that?
So we sort of split it up. The longest we do, I think, is 26 kilometres, and then we do a bit of an extra longer version. So you do 2 days at 14 kilometres, so it just kind of makes it a little bit sort of a more relaxing sort of way. But it's actually, we only rate it out of 3 for difficulty, because it's not too strenuous. It's actually, a lot of it's kind of quite flat country roads. A lot of the time you go off in the morning and the CEO will just be behind and you just take it at your own pace, sort of thing. It's quite different from Like I've done Mount Toubkal in Morocco, where you need to sort of keep to a pace, and obviously you're fighting against the dark, etc. We had like a 12-hour day one day, but you need to get back because it's like there's nothing else around. But with the Camino, you were literally walking from like one town to another. There was little cafes in between. It's a really nice introductory if you were looking for something like multi-day hiking, but not too strenuous.
And all your tours have a difficulty scoring then? So
yeah, they'll all say whether it's usually 1 to 5. So majority of them are a 2.
Right, so really anybody could do them.
Yeah, I mean, on the Camino de Santiago, there was, what age was she? She was 76. So yeah, so
brilliant.
Again, just it's all in the mind, I think, as well. Like,
and do they carry your luggage for you?
So yes.
Maybe.
Yes, so like you felt a little bit of a cheat when you arrived in the square in Santiago, where people were carrying their own backpacks and had been doing it for like 40 days, and we had no backpack and done it for 6. But it's still an achievement.
Absolutely,
but,
got your certificate.
I've got my certificate. Yeah, so it's still an amazing experience. But yeah, it's one of those ones that if you're thinking of like something a little bit different, definitely like look at G, because we do have some amazing experiences that again you maybe just think, oh God, who does that? So one of my favourite trips I ever done, and I didn't think it was going to be for me, I did Sri Lanka and then sailed round the Maldives, which I'm really, if you get like how I've been talking about trips and things, I can't sit at a pool. I like to be busy. But the Maldives, I really wanted to see, but I didn't really want to just sit
flying flop
at a resort sort of thing. So again, it's a combo tour, so you can do it on its own as well, but you can sail around the Maldives. So you pick you up at the airport, and then you go off on your sort of Donny cruise boat for 6 nights. You do a couple of snorkels, you go to a couple of sort of local islands to see how the locals actually live. And yeah, it was a great experience. Some people didn't even leave the boat. So again, it's totally up to you what you do on these trips. Because you've got your CEO guide there, but you do have some free time built into these itineraries as well, which I think comes up quite often as they don't want to be too structured, but they do have some free days built in. Same with like meals and things. You'll find some tours have more than others, but usually most evenings the CEO will say, if you want to go for dinner, we'll meet at 7 o'clock in the reception and we'll go off and find a nice restaurant. If not, we'll see you tomorrow at breakfast and you can go off and do your own thing. Yeah. Because it's a total mix of sort of travellers you have on there. You'll have sort of families, you'll have couples, you'll have solos, you'll have sort of multi-generational families as well. So it depends what they want to do on that evening as well. So if they don't want to socialise...
So do they do families as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we have 2 types of family trips. So we've got our own family trips, and then we've got National Geographic Journey family trips as well. The minimum age is 7 for those, so it's not sort of the younger children. But in general, if you have like sort of teenagers, anybody from who's 12 and above can go on the G Adventures trips with an adult.
Right, okay.
So yeah, so you do have a bit of a choice there. But we do also have, I say we're quite highly solo travellers, but we do have the option to have to travel just with solo travellers as well, which is
I was going to say that you have solo programmes.
Yes, so as I say, like, if you're travelling on your own, which I've done a lot of the time, we have an option, which is a great option. I've always took advantage of it. Is you're travelling on your own and you don't want to pay for your own room, we'll just pair you up with another woman or whatever. So that you don't pay the solo supplement, you just pay
Ideal.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always done that, to be honest. Never has any issues. Always met great people, because I say it's like-minded people you're travelling with. And to be very honest, on these trips, a lot of the time you're too busy out exploring. Like,
all you're doing is sleeping in the room.
Back to sleep in the room. So you do have that as an option, and then you also have the option if you want to do my own room. There's a supplement for that, and they're never usually crazy. But also with the soloish adventures, if you want to just travel with other solo people, that's an option as well. And the reason they call it solo-ish is because you still do have the option to share a room if you want, and if you want to have your own room, you can do that as well.
All right, so on the solo trips, it's not... right, that's good then, isn't it?
Yeah. But I mean, to be honest, like, to give you an example, we've got a 10-day solo-ish Vietnam trip, and to upgrade to your own room, it's only £149.
Right.
So it's for like 15 quid a night, you may as well, sort of thing.
Brilliant. So where's next for you after Antarctica? What else have you still got to do in your bucket list?
So I've been putting off South Korea for a while, so I think it's going to be my next one. I wanted to go when we were going to Nepal, but at that time of year it was just going to be a little bit colder, so I think that's going to be my next one. I used to live with an ex-cabin crew, which was always the one thing in travel that I never got to do because I was too short.
But now you can do it because they're not allowed to discriminate.
I think they
now.
changed it to a reach test and I still couldn't reach it. So I've tried that one as well. So she always said that, I always said, like, where was the best place she ever travelled to? And she always said Seoul, South Korea. So it's always been in the back of my mind to go there.
Right, so that's on your bucket list.
Yes, so my manager is actually booked ahead of me now, so he's going in May to do the best of South Korea, and I'm looking actually at doing the solo-ish South Korea trip maybe October time.
Right.
Because my partner...
Have you done Japan?
I have. I did it as... It was actually my last trip before COVID. It was December 2019. But it was with the tourist board. So we actually didn't do, like, Tokyo. We didn't do Osaka or anything. It was all quite off the beaten track.
Oh, interesting.
Places.
Okay.
So it was amazing. But I need to go back and see the big places as well.
Japan is just so popular. I just can't go over since COVID. I do not know why Japan. I mean, it's just mental how popular it is.
At the minute, it's still always in our top 10, majority top 5 at the minute as well. And again, you've got all those different combinations, whether you want to do just Japan or you want to do like Korea and Japan, etc. So it's there's loads of options there.
And that's one of the things. Heather's our adventure specialist, but I've watched her doing some, pulling itineraries together, and she's got like a G Adventure tour, then a couple of days, fly somewhere else, pick up another G Adventures tour. And this particular customer I'm thinking about, it's really all she does now is G Adventures because she's been doing it for, 15 years or something, and just literally there's nowhere left in the world that she's now repeating herself because she's literally done and met some amazing people, and like these people are friends for life, which is
it's really weird because you have these amazing experiences with these people, and it does like sort of bond you. It's weird. I think I seen a quote the other day there that said, and it's never sort of resonated with me because it's that sort of traveller type of quote that had said, so you'll spend some of the best moments of your life with people you'll never see again.
That's so true, isn't it?
Like I've spent so many like amazing sunsets and things with people that I will never see again. And I have never seen again. I know. Yeah. So
and travel, is one thing that costs you money but makes you richer.
Oh, definitely.
And that is so true. You can always make more money, just not more memories.
Exactly.
And, I've been in this industry forever, but watching, people's journeys, as I said, now don't want you to go and line a beach. They want to go and do the experiences and the bucket list trips. Yeah. And I'm all for that because life's short.
Oh, it definitely is.
And I get, a bit sad for people that just want to go to Mallorca every year, and there's nothing wrong with going to Mallorca, but there's an amazing big world out there. Yeah. So go and explore it, and what better way to do it than with a touring company that's got 35 years experience.
Yeah, 35 years. So Bruce is still going strong. And as I say, the one of the best things about working for G is I always think the values, like our values, I've never heard a company like it had the values that we have. Like some of our values are do the right thing. We love changing people's lives as some of our core values, and we do live by them every single day. So it's one of those things that I don't think I've ever been prouder to work for a company because you can see the good they're doing throughout the world. And I don't know if to mention that we do have a not-for-profit side of the business as well, which is called Planetera. And these are projects where we help out in ways where we weave them through the experiences of the trips. So you'll have sort of various ones around the world. For example, one of the biggest areas we've helped out in is the Sacred Valley in Peru, where years ago people would just drive straight through the Sacred Valley and not stop and go to Machu Picchu, basically. But there obviously was local people there who had amazing crafts, amazing sort of abilities to cook and have restaurants, etc. But no tourists were stopping there. So we actually spend a lot of time on our trips in the Sacred Valley. One of the projects that we support out in Peru is called, so a mouthful, but it's the Kakakoyo Women's Weaving Cooperative.
That word, can you?
So those guys actually came to Bruce many years ago and said, obviously, a lot of the young people were leaving the local area to go to the cities and get jobs. They obviously wanted to preserve their traditions. So we came up with an experience for the customers where they go and they are shown how the traditional weaving is done. They show them how they dye the wools, etc., for all the different colours. And then you have the opportunity to purchase any of their handicrafts, etc. I do have a gorgeous scarf that I bought there, which is obviously it's totally unique, it's handmade, and it's a souvenir and reminder of
an amazing
my trip
trip.
to Peru. So we've got those that are dotted throughout the world, and the range and experiences from sort of transportation. It's really just sort of replacing like a service of some sort. Like we all need to get places, so like transportation. We've got Women on Wheels in India. We've got obviously Everybody Needs to Eat. We've got restaurants that we support with
and Women on Wheels. That's a women's only taxi company, isn't it?
Yes,
which is just
So it's
some great projects.
Yeah, it's just you can see the difference it makes to these people's lives, and literally all you need to do is go on holiday and have an amazing time. But it actually makes a difference where you spend your money and how you go and do the travel in general.
And great to know that the money that you're spending is staying in the villages and towns, which is great. We're out of time, Jen. I can't believe it. I know. I told you it would just go in a flash. But you mentioned you were going to go on your trip to the Antarctic.
Yes.
So please come back and have a conversation with us after March because you're Ayrshire girl, so you're nice and easy.
Yes. Hopefully we can compare notes when you have been.
And come back and tell us all about it. But thank you so much for taking time out in January, which is the busiest time for us travel agents, travel people. So appreciated. And that's us for another week of Let's Talk About Travel. Thanks for joining us.